Alright, hi everybody, welcome to the channel. So today I just wanted to show you all a replay I recently recorded in my Hipper. So this is going to be about 120k damage game. And I'm actually in a pretty heavily tier 10 game. If I quickly bring up the menu, so you'll see there's a Yamato, a Kurfürst, a whole lot of tier 10 cruisers, a couple tier 8 battleships, so this isn't quite the worst matchmaking I've ever seen in this ship, but it's not ideal. So anyway, what I'm doing right at the start of this game is I'm just going to try and somewhat contest B. The reality is that in this kind of situation, I really do have to be careful about being too aggressive, and the reason for that is any of their battleships could one-shot me. Yeah, I'm in a Hipper, so I'm a little less likely to be insta-gibbed by Citadels, even in a worst-case scenario. But if that Großer Kurfürst shoots me, gets a lucky shot, I could really easily die. So right now I'm just putting in some fire into the Moskva, and I'm going to shift over to try and shoot the Kurfürst. So I'll just quickly switch over to the aiming perspective. So I'm actually trying to kind of blind fire the Kurfürst right now. I can't see him, but I'm watching where my shots are landing. And if they hit him, then I know where he is. So those shots were actually fired blind, and I got 2.5k damage. And that's something that you can do when you're shooting at battleships, is you can really just kind of... if you're shooting at a battleship blind, sometimes you can track them for kind of a while. I'm going to do that again to a Tirpitz a little later in this game for a little more damage. But right now, I'm just thinking, okay, what can I do on this flank reasonably? I think right now my main course of action is I'm just trying to put shots into this Kurfürst. I could maybe push up and shoot the Moskva, but I don't know if I really want to get into a gunfight with him. And if I do that, in order to be able to shoot over that island in D7, I would absolutely need to expose myself. And I really don't want to do that right at the beginning of the game. Generally speaking, especially early on, especially in cruisers, and especially when you're bottom tier, I try to avoid playing too aggressively. And the reason for that is playing too aggressively in your cruisers, or especially early on, is a really good way to throw away all your hit points. So when I was actually taking that turn there, you'll notice I wasn't firing AP at the Kurfürst. I actually think, looking back on that, that was a mistake. I think if I had been firing AP at him, I would have done a little more damage. But it's alright. I was still able to do some amount of damage, get some fires on him, take away about a quarter of his hit points, which was pretty nice, all things considered. But anyway, you'll notice I also held my fire for a little bit there. The reason I held my fire was because I wanted to avoid getting shot at, and I wanted to minimize the amount of time I spent spotted. You notice that as soon as I was spotted, making that last turn, the Kurfürst did actually turn and try and shoot me. And that was something I really wanted to avoid, which is why I held my fire. It's also why I highly recommend you run the Concealment module, and you run Concealment Expert on this ship. The reason being, having that ability to disengage is really significant. So anyway, now I'm shooting. I think I could almost have gotten away with firing AP here. And I do actually switch to AP, but the reason is because I see the Minotaur. And I really want to shoot that Minotaur. You'll see later in this game how this Hipper AP can absolutely brutalize the Minotaur. And it can really fuck up cruisers. You know, I think a lot of people sometimes struggle with this ship because, you know, they don't use your AP enough. You know, I've seen people recommend on the forums, oh, you shouldn't shoot AP at battleships when they're at long range. Oh, you shouldn't you know, use your AP above a certain range. They're wrong. This Hipper AP is brutal. You can absolutely shoot at broadside battleships at long range. You can absolutely shoot it at broadside cruisers at long range, and you can absolutely get good results. Because this Hipper AP has amazing penetration, and especially against tier 10 cruisers, and sometimes even against tier 10 battleships, you can get these massive AP salvos if they give you any kind of broadside. So anyway, I've actually fallen back right now. The reason I've fallen back is because, well, two reasons. First of all, I don't really see an opportunity to push around that flank. They have a Neptune, a Moskva, Musashi, a Kurfürst. I can't really push around the island in D7, because I think if I do that, I'm just going to get killed. I can't really push into C because same reason. They have a Minotaur, they have a Neptune, they have a Moskva, they have a Musashi, they have a Kurfürst, and we don't have a destroyer in the area who can smoke. We have a Minotaur, but he's not pushing into the cap yet, and I don't feel safe charging into C right now. So, with that in mind, I'm looking over at the other flank. I'm seeing, okay, there's not opportunities for me around C, so what can I do to get damage around B? And I see that, oh, there's a Tirpitz over there. Why don't I go over there and shoot at him? He's pushing into B. I want to punish that mistake because right now we're down on ships. The way we win this game is by not making mistakes ourselves and punishing the mistakes made by the enemy, right? So I'm thinking, all right, that Tirpitz, I think he's overextending. He's extending into a Musashi and an Alabama, and if I add my firepower to that, we can probably kill this guy. So now I'm firing blind, right? But watch where my shots land, right? See what happens. I get hits. So now I know where he is, and now I can guess where he's going to be and keep shooting him blind, right? And this is something that you can do in your cruisers that have a reasonably good rate of fire. You know, I'm not in a super fast rate of fire ship. I'm in a hipper. My reload is like 11 seconds, 12 seconds. And despite that, I'm still able to make these shots work. And I'm able to squeak out a whole bunch of extra damage and get a fire on this Tirpitz. And so now he's spotted on the minimap, but he's not rendered. I wish Wargaming would deal with that, but I do fire some blind shots by looking at the reticle on the minimap, get another fire and 2k damage. And so that's one way that you can actually shoot at enemy ships, firing blind at them. And so now you'll notice we're punishing this Tirpitz hard, right? Because I was able to flex over here, we were able to kill that guy, right? If I hadn't flexed over here, that guy might have killed our Alabama earlier. But because I flexed around, I saw that there was a Tirpitz pushing into B. I decided, okay, I can't do anything on C. I can do something on B, and I flexed around to a position on the map where I could do something. Minotaur, I'm switching to AP, right? I want to get my AP rounds into this guy, because if I can shoot him with AP, I'll be able to absolutely brutalize him. I'm just waiting for my shots to reload. I try and put out a shot, but I think this guy's slowing down, so these are all going to miss, unfortunately. I think I'm going to maybe get another shot. He disappears, so I just shoot at where he was. The reason I don't just shoot at where I was aiming earlier is because there's an island in the way, so obviously my shots will hit the island, and now the situation is turned at B. I came back, I stopped the Tirpitz push, but it's not going to matter because the Alabama is going to die anyway, and the Musashi already died. I think he got torpedoed. I think the Alabama is actually going to flood out. But now I'm thinking, alright, they have a Minotaur here, they have a Cleveland, they have a Hindenburg, a Monarch, and a Kitakaze. And I basically have me and this Alabama who's about to die. So I've now flexed around, I did what I could to try and help this flank, I killed their Tirpitz, I've put some fire into the Minotaur, but I can't contest anymore, right? I can't really contest B, I can't push in to try and deal with the Minotaur because I will almost certainly die. What I need to do is just relax, let them have the point, and try and kill them when they push out into me, right? That's the strategy here. Because if I just charge in right now, I maybe get 20 seconds extra off the cap, but they have a Hindenburg, a Cleveland, and a Minotaur there, and a Monarch. I'm not going to live very long if I just charge into B with my Hydro blazing, right? By the time I get to the point where my Hydro would actually be useful against the Minotaur, if you look where he is in the cap, he's on the opposite edge of the cap circle. I have to push all the way across that cap. I'm probably going to be spotted by their Cleveland, the Hindenburg, and the Kitakaze. And on top of that, I'm worried the Hindenburg is going to just push directly physically into B, and I'm not going to win that brawl, even if he was just by himself. So yeah, sure enough, here comes the Cleveland. B gets capped. And again, there's nothing I could have done about that, right? I can't charge in because of the Minotaur there. I can't charge in because the Hipper's there. My options here are limited. There is no opportunity for me to change that situation. And this is something that's really, really important to realize. A lot of players will try and force an opportunity to happen that doesn't exist, right? So a lot of players would look at that B position and say, hey, there's a Minotaur there, why don't I try and smoke him out? And that's a good instinct, because you do want to reset the cap. The problem is that realistically, I'm not going to do that, because of the ships that they have there. And there's their Kitakaze, right? Their Kitakaze was there too. Okay, so now here's this Musashi, and now I'm going to punish his mistake, right? This is what we need to be doing. Our team, we need to be chilling, we need to be focusing on letting them push in, picking them off one by one when they do. That's how we win this game. We don't win this game by charging into their whole team and dying. We don't win this game by camping at the rear edge of the map. We win this game by being together, taking a decent position, like around the 7-9 line is great for us, right? If we just hang around that 7-9 line, don't push in, let them push into us and kill them when they do, that's how we can win this game. And there's one of those Hipper AP volleys. 8k damage on a Musashi. That's a tier 9 battleship, right? That's what this Hipper AP can do. So now I stopped shooting the Musashi, and the reason is because I see this Minotaur spotted. And I think I'm gonna make the same mistake here. I shoot too far forward, just a little bit, and he's actually slowing down, so these are all gonna miss. But then, oh, this is bad. So this is my biggest mistake in the round, easily, right? you know, a lot of players will go back, they'll look at their replays, and they aren't able to identify their mistakes. You have to be able to identify mistakes, right? I don't think this one ends up mattering, but this is by far the biggest lapse in decision-making I have this round. So I could have killed that Musashi, right? If I hang back there, if I stop in front of that island, take the shots at the Musashi, kill him, and then move on, then we can guarantee the kill on this Musashi. Now he's healing, right? So because I missed that kill, right, now this Musashi is not going to die as quickly. I missed the kill on the Musashi. That could have been really bad. Luckily, we were able to get the kill. He doesn't do a ton of damage to our teammates in the intervening time, so it's not the end of the world. The Wooster does set the Musashi on fire. And now this is another mistake, right? The Moskva is pushing into us. We need to kill this guy. This is how we win, right? The problem is that at the same time, what's happening is our team is making the same mistake, right? Our teammates are pushing in. Our Shimikaze pushes in against the Gary, right? Our Minotaur pushed in, and now he's falling back, but it's way too late. He's going to die anyway. The Shima dies, so we lose points. Right? What those guys are doing is the opposite of what we need to do. I'm actually dropping torpedoes here because I anticipate that the Moskva is going to just charge into us, and I want to kill him as quickly as I can. And I'm willing to sacrifice the torpedo reload. No one else is anywhere near me right now, so I think I will take this. Okay. But anyway, this is what we need to do, right? When you're in this kind of situation, your team is down on tons and tons of ships. There's no use in pushing into the whole enemy team when this happens, right? In this situation, the way we lose most quickly is by charging into the enemy team one by one and dying. The way we win is letting them charge into us, letting them throw away their numerical superiority by charging in one by one and picking them off when they do. But that's not what our team does, right? Well, it's what some of our team does. But you'll see now the Minotaur has died too. The Minotaur, the Kitakaze both killed themselves for no reason, and now we're down, right? We could be down only 2 ships right now, but we're not. And now our chances of winning are much lower because those guys played aggressively in the late game, right? In a situation where we didn't need to. A lot of times, late game aggression can be really useful, right? This is a situation where I don't think that's really true. Grab a Citadel on the Cleveland. I'm going to try and grab another one. I think I actually may have aimed that last volley a little bit too high. But now this Minotaur is going to give me broadside, and he's going to be punished for it, right? So here's that Hipper AP again. 12.3 kilometers out. Minotaur. Yeah, it's a Minotaur, but still. That's a 9K volley. This volley I'm going to aim a little bit too far back, I think. One of these volleys is going to miss pretty bad. Yeah, that one kind of whiffs. I'm just looking for this guy. I'm looking for him. There he is. He's spotted again. I'm just going to try and pick up the kill on him. We need these points. I put out the shots. These are actually blind. I can't physically see a ship. I get sits. I think this is going to kill him here. Yeah, we finish him off. So that's when Minotaur gone. Now we need to kill this Kitakaze, right? This is a situation where we can potentially win. Right? The Kitakaze is about to go down. He dies, right? If our team hadn't killed themselves, we would be winning right now, right? If our Kitakaze and our our Minotaur hadn't killed themselves earlier, we would literally be in the lead right now. But they charged in, they played aggressive when they didn't need to, and we're losing because of that, right? The last 2 guys alive on the team have 2 kills, and I have over 100k damage, right? We could have won this game, right? Okay, so major takeaways from the game you just watched. First, the first major takeaway is going to be don't force opportunities when they don't exist. If there's not an opportunity to push, especially when you're bottom tier, don't take it, right? And the main way you can identify that, well, 2 ways. The first is just sort of feel, right? Eventually you'll kind of get a feel for when to push and when not to push just by watching, okay, what happens when I push here? What happens when I don't? And you can sort of file back that situation in your brain and say, okay, if I push when they have these ships in this map situation, I will probably die, so I shouldn't do that, right? The other part of it is just simple counting. If you generally have fewer ships than the enemy, and your ships are playing more passively than the enemy, pushing is a bad idea, right? If you have equal ships than the enemy, and you're both just kind of standing off and chilling, pushing is probably not a great idea by yourself when you're bottom tier cruiser. In that situation, I probably would have died if I tried to push on the sea flank, and I would have ended up with shit damage and shit kills. So look for opportunities where they exist, but if they don't try and force it, right? I then flanked around and saw that there was an opportunity on the other flank to burn out a Tirpitz, and so I took that opportunity and got some nice damage off of it. And that's one of those things that you kind of will have to, be paying attention to the whole map, because you can flex around and look for other targets. The second main takeaway from this game is what to do when you're in an endgame situation and your team is down on ships. If the enemy outnumbers you by a lot and they're all kind of bunched up in the middle of the map, really pushing into that is not going to be very realistic for you if you're down on ships, right? So in that situation, it wasn't really realistic for us to push and try and actively contest a lot of caps, because they just had so many more ships than we did. It was just going to be useless and get us killed. The way we were going to win that situation is by letting them make mistakes and punishing when it happened, right? So you notice the Moskva, the Minotaur, the Cleveland, the Musashi, right? They all pushed in when they didn't need to and got themselves killed. And if we can capitalize on that when you're outnumbered, that's how you can turn those kinds of situations around. The worst thing you can do in that situation is charge in by yourself to the whole enemy team and die, right? It doesn't work that way. You're not going to get anything done. The only thing you'll accomplish is killing yourself and losing points for your team. That's it, right? Because that's exactly what happened in that game. If the Minotaur and the Kitakaze hadn't charged in, we literally would have won that, right? I mean, I'm not even exaggerating. We would have ended up with a numerical advantage in positional superiority, and we would have won. But that's not what happened. Our team played aggressive when they didn't need to and got themselves killed and threw the game. That's how you lose those kinds of situations. What you want to do is negate the numerical advantage by taking 1v5 fights, for example. In that endgame situation, they had 7 ships to our, 5, right? Then our Kitakaze and Minotaur killed themselves, but let's say they don't, right? If they don't kill themselves, what we do is we wait for the enemy to push, in 1s and 2s, we pick them off when they do, and exploit the fact that we have all our ships bunched up in an area. Let them push one by one, then when we're ready, charge in and attack. Now, the reality is sometimes in randoms, that level of teamwork just doesn't happen. I think that's what happened in this game. But it's nice to know what you should be doing and what you should be trying to get your team to do when you're in that kind of situation. So, thank you all for watching. I hope to see you guys next time.